and welcome to Blockbuster Bums. Kick back your recliner, crack open a beer, and let's talk movies. And today we're here to talk about Quantum of Solace, and the second of the Craig movies, and that much closer to the end of Bond. And little housekeeping issues. Wade is back. Wade loves Daniel Craig so much, he's like, hey, I want to be here for Craig.
Back to back, baby.
So here he is, back again to talk about his homeboy, Daniel Craig. And I don't think I have anything else there. So, Ray, you got a little synopsis for us, sir?
Sure. Following the death of Vesper Lynn, James Bond makes his next mission personal. The hunt for those who blackmailed his lover leads him to ruthless businessman Dominic Green, a key player in an organization which can... I don't even know what that name is. Or whatever what that word is. Oh, coerced Vesper.
It's weird with the O and the E together.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. Bond learns that Green is plotting to gain total control of a vital natural resource, and he must navigate a minefield of danger and treachery to foil the plan.
Fair enough. All right, let's get going. Tom, what are your initial thoughts here on your rewatch of Quantum of Solace?
It was Casino Royale Part 2. That's all it really was. I don't know. Like, it definitely didn't land with me as well as the first Craig movie did. It kind of drug on toward the end at times, I felt. Couple good fight scenes. I did notice a couple little callbacks that I thought and all from like earlier James Bond movies that was pretty cool, but other than that it was like I could take it or leave it. Like I don't know. They could have done a whole new story plot line and not even followed the first one, and I think I would have been just as happy.
Fair enough. Barry, what did you think of your initial watch of Quantum of Solace?
I think there's a lot to like about it. I don't need every James Bond movie to be like some sort of a masterpiece. You know what I mean? Like intricate and like a huge plan, like a world domination or something like that. I don't need that. So I kind of like the smaller story being told to some degree. But I was really bothered by the way it was shot a lot of times, while loving the locations they were at. So it's a really mixed bag.
They do go to a lot of locations in this movie.
Yeah, they look great.
Wade, what was your thoughts of your rewatch?
I don't know. I had a couple different strong opinions on it. I think like just viewing it, like if you just went into the movie, I think Tom kind of said something similar to this in the last episode. Like if you just went into it looking at it as like just a straight secret agent action movie, there's a lot of great action scenes in it. But I think that's also part of the problem. Is at least the first like 2/3 of the movie, it's just one action scene straight into another action scene, straight into another action scene, straight into another action scene. And it's just over and over. I think what made Casino Royale so good was they draw you in with a couple really cool, intense action scenes, and then you have this really big arc in the middle of the movie where there's this mental warfare between James Bond and Mads Mikkelsen's character. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. And then that leads up to a couple more intense action and torture scenes. So you get this nice mixture of, and like a full-blown story and things being set up, and you get multiple kinds of like
A plot?
Yeah. Like there's this variety in it, and like I think the mental warfare between Bond and Mads Mikkelsen in the middle of the movie is what makes the movie. Because one, they're just good at it. The two actors meshed well.
I agree.
Good dynamic, and you need that in the middle of the movie to separate some of the action scenes, so it's not just action scene after action scene, which I think that's more of Quantum Solace. I think they went too heavy into just action, cutting straight to the next action scene. I felt, especially in the first part of the movie, it was very strong on the action. A little too much, maybe. They were cool scenes, but there just wasn't much else going on. Just a lot of action, one to another.
Gotcha. All right, Ray, what'd you think of your rewatch?
I mean, I didn't mind it. I feel like, pretty much the whole movie was James Bond was like the sidekick trying to do something with Camille. on his way to finishing his own story arc from the last one. But I don't. I mean, it was okay. The whole stealing the water thing was kind of wacky, but I don't know.
Well,
It was decent.
we've seen wackier.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
the first
yeah.
crazy eco warrior.
My thoughts on it were, first off, I want to touch on two things that Tom and Wade touched on. First off, Tom said something that I thought as well, that it drug. And this movie is 45 minutes shorter than Casino Royale, and Casino Royale does not drag.
No, we specifically said that. Like,
Yeah.
it was 2.5 hours. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And that's with the drama playing poker. Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And then, what? Like, I have literally written down right here in my notes, this is an action flick.
No, the whole first 2/3
Yeah,
of the movie
like-
is just one action scene that leads to another. Like, I don't know, in movies like this, that's somewhat common, but you gotta stop and give some background to some stuff going on, and give some other characters some development.
I mean, for half the
They're
movie,
just running to the next action scene.
for half the movie,
They're Tom Cruise in it.
They are.
Camille shows up over and over again, and we know nothing about her. She just keeps showing up, but they don't tell us anything about her.
Until like the last 10 minutes of the movie, where she kind of like when they're out there sniping or whatever, or observing the place, then she kind of breaks down and says a couple things about what the general did, and that was it.
Yeah, and when you first meet her,
They allude to it earlier, like Green, and when Green first gives her up.
they tell her that she's the daughter of a
Yeah.
couple important people.
Well, but
They
the
don't
gen-
know the background.
Yeah,
of it.
but the general recognizes her because he even said, he's like, "Oh, I think I was the last one to see your family alive." Like he knew they knew each other.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't think this movie. It's like Tom said, it's part 2 of Casino Royale. It does pick up immediately, but I don't think it's on the level. It's not nearly the movie Casino Royale is, and I'm not saying I hated it, but I don't have nearly the strong feelings I did about Casino Royale. That's where I'll leave it for now.
Why don't you like it being part 2 of Casino Royale, like continuing those story? I'm just curious. I don't really have strong opinions.
I think it goes back to, once again, I said it a lot in the last one. It just seemed like they tried to. Well, one, we'd seen in past movies what happens when you kill a woman that James Bond actually likes. The next movie is just Rampage and all that.
Yeah, we've seen it.
So I expected the action part of it and everything with that and everything. So I get that, and I get the callback to those earlier movies with it. I still don't buy into the premise that he was in love with her to that degree.
So we're still going back to the
Yeah,
one
we're
issue
still
with Casino
we're still going back to there.
I gotcha.
And then on top of that, even kind of like what M said, even when they had Mr. White in the interrogation chair and all that, where it's like, we have people everywhere, then that's when you're gonna blow your agency's cover.
Yeah.
right then and there. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that one was kind of a hard thing to buy too, and all that. Like,
If you don't buy what they're selling with Bond and the girl at the end of Casino Royale, I could see where you're coming from, because they do they even keep beating on that dead horse.
Even
and to
even
start
when
the
they
next
meet up with
movie.
even when they meet up with Old Boy and he clears his name and he's like there were bad people on both sides and sometimes it's hard to see. He's like,
Yeah.
but she cared for you and she
Yeah.
she knew
It's
she
one
was
of the first
dead.
things they do in the movie.
Yeah, like I
It
said,
is.
they,
I still have questions about Mathis. I think they left that somewhat ambiguous, even though seems to be sort of cleared. His hands weren't clean, in my opinion.
well, but that's what he meant when he said he's like good and bad are kind of it's a gray area and everything. Like I said,
right.
like-
But that's different than like a personal betrayal, and I think that's part of what this is. It's not just the Vesper angle. I think Bond suffered greatly from being betrayed and drawn into all of this too. So it's not just the Vesper stuff.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Barry.
No, go for it.
Here's we just talked about Mathis being cleared, so it kind of blows it. But at the beginning, not at the very beginning, but shortly, like Tom just touched on it, where they have Mr. White in the interrogation chair, and we have another MI6 agent who is a turncoat.
Yeah.
That would be the third one in like half a movie.
And once again, and even
Yeah.
M was all like mortified. You know, like, she's like, he was my private security for like 5 to 8 years, and I mean, he's been an agent and everything for 20 or whatever, and passed background checks and everything. And it's like,
That was a flex to show the power of the organization.
yeah,
That's
No,
what
it totally was, but I was just like, MI6 is like a disaster. Like you've had 3 turncoat agents and like the course of like half. I mean, you're talking over the course of 2 movies, but it's like it's the very end of this movie you see 2 of them, and then at the very beginning of this movie you see another one. Like 3 agents in that amount of time is insanity. Like you should be embarrassed to be an intelligence agency.
it really makes the pen bombing that we saw in the Pierce Brosnan movie seem real plausible. That's what it really, it's like, oh, if it's that easy to infiltrate, yeah, like go ahead, just put this pen in your pocket, like yeah, it'll happen. Like it's like they don't know they're British. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
just
I guess I didn't really think of it that way. That while trying to show how powerful Spectre is, they're kind of making MI6 look pretty pathetic.
oh, just got like I said,
Totally.
he's like you like he said, Mr. White's laughing at him. He's like,
Yeah.
you're not even asking the right questions.
He does make a mockery of them. in
Yeah,
that
because
scene.
he's like, you don't even know who you're talking about, or too. And everybody's laughing at them literally when they talk about, like I said, just because the reach of power and like
Yeah.
that they are everywhere, that you don't even know they exist. Like you say, like the last mission and everything, you're trying to catch a guy who's just like small, like funding terrorism and everything like that. Like, I mean, like I said, you haven't even gotten to the people that are trying to like global domination, like in the past movies before and all that.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you think Lashif wasn't important enough to have a number?
No,
No.
I lean that
no.
direction too.
no, god awful, no,
I would have.
Okay, so do you think Mr. White is a number?
No.
no.
You don't even think White is high enough to have a number?
No.
No, I think White's just a henchman and middleman.
Hmm.
Like, because he wouldn't have been able to been taken out, I feel like, that easily and all that, just by being sniped and all that.
He
Yeah.
just kind of knows the streets kind of guy, and they just kind of dropped him in to
Yeah.
help out.
Well, like I said, at that, like up till then, and everything. The only reason he's after White at that point is because he's on a rampage. He knows nothing about who White works for.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like at this point, this is all still just Bond on a rampage.
Well,
like-
pretty much the whole movie's Bond on a rampage.
Yeah, it is. It's basically like we've seen this movie before.
License to Kill.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, like we're
Yeah.
we're watching just a reversion of it.
But License to Kill was way better.
Remember that-
I kind
remember
of
that-
liked some of the action scenes though. I thought some of the action scenes were pretty badass.
There are cool action scenes. I liked the car chase scene at the very beginning of the movie. The first scene of the movie is the car chase scene.
We get some
Yeah.
cool boat chase scenes too. Those are other callbacks.
No, classic boat chase.
I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing we haven't seen in the first 2 Craig movies is nobody has touched a set of skis, but yet.
Thank
That's true.
God.
But everything else, like we've seen so far.
And Wade, let me preface that statement because we had to watch Roger Moore for 7 goddamn straight movies on a fucking set of skis.
Like them skis, huh?
So I just mentioned the car chase scene at the beginning, which leads us into, I want to ask about this before we forget. What did everybody think of the song for this movie?
Oh, it's horrific.
I thought so too. I have that written down here. I didn't say horrific. I said terrible. But like, I did not like the song at all.
No,
I didn't.
I agree with you guys, but it would have been better if they would have took either Alicia Keys out and left Jack White, or took Jack White out and left Alicia Keys and do it by themselves. Because they did not vibe together. at
You
all.
almost said this name, but it would have been better if they would have just let Jack Black do the whole thing. I mean, that song sucks.
Tenacious D.
I didn't like that though.
No.
I honestly didn't.
The
mind
beat
it.
was. I liked the beat though. Bum, 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 bum.
No, I just couldn't get there. I just kept
especially
listening to it, and I was like,
along with
no.
the graphics, I didn't mind it.
I didn't have a problem with the graphics per se.
I thought it,
but
it meshed pretty well. Like you said, like I thought it was weird to the ear and everything. I don't think that them as a duo was like
No.
anything great. But once again, like they're not trying to. It's not like the last movies and everything. Like they're not trying to make a hit out of this song or anything. It's just the Bond opener.
Oh, I'm
and
sure
all,
they
like-
do want to have a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be
Oh,
arguing. I'm
no,
sure they
I
want to
know-
have a
I
hit.
know what you
Sure.
mean. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
trying. You're not just putting out a piece of shit. But I mean,
Right. Yeah.
But
I mean,
I
they
think this
did.
song's gonna suck. Let's put it out.
yeah.
I mean, they
like-
did. They put out a crap song. And I mean, is there anything memorable about that song other than how it's
The graphic is the intro.
grating at my brain?
Like I said, I remember the drum line. Like
Bum,
I
bum, bum,
I would
bum,
say I
bum,
remember
bum,
the
bum.
beat, the drum line. I don't remember the words necessarily, but like his voice is so. it is
Another day,
yeah, it's a
another
very
day to
unique voice, so it's
die.
like I know like the melody that it sings, but I couldn't tell you a word he said.
I don't know if we've ever disagreed this much on a song before. Usually we're all pretty much in agreement.
Well, I mean, I'm glad some people enjoyed it. Not
Yeah.
my cup of tea, but
Me neither.
yeah,
Not your intro.
yeah, not my intro.
Fair enough.
Oh, I wanted to go back. Wade mentioned the action scenes. He mentioned action a lot, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's right. It is an action movie. I don't think I've mentioned this in any great detail. And you guys tell me what you think about it. Like, I thought a lot of the action scenes were clever, in the way they were set up, and generally could be fun. But I found myself so annoyed by how quick every camera shot was, and it just changed, and I couldn't keep track of
The boat scene. Was
this person's here, that person's there. That's how this led to this.
Oh, yeah.
It was just half a second of everything, and I reached a point where I'm like, holy crap, I can't define what's going on.
Or you gotta scroll through TikTok really quick and then watch it. Like
Yeah.
to be ready
I-
for
Yeah.
it. Your brain will get prepped.
I would have liked something to have lingered a little bit longer. Let's establish what's going on here. I don't know.
Who was the directors? Was it two different directors for each one, or the same person?
I think it was a different
Was
director.
it?
I think the director from Casino Royale was the guy that did GoldenEye.
Really?
And then I
Wow.
think they brought in somebody new.
I will say I did like the final, like speaking of the fight scene, the final fight scene between Bond and Dominic Green. Like as far as like fight scenes for even all the other Bond villains and everything, like it wasn't like super big anticlimactic or anything. Like Green was like trying to beat the fuck out of him with that axe. Like
True.
and it was like he was swinging and he was kind of getting the better of Bond here and there for being a little rich nerdy dude and all that. Like
Yeah, it was a
so,
good fight scene.
Yeah.
At the
like,
do not stay at any hotel where they have hydrogen fuel cells on every wall and giant tanks that say explosive on it. Don't
you
stay at
just
that
explode
hotel.
Everything. I mean,
That was the weirdest hotel.
if you have to exit the building and all that, though, it's a pretty quick way to do it.
Yeah.
But
By the way, Barry, you were right. They did change directors.
And I don't know
I
what
just
his
looked to
name
make
was
sure.
or anything, but
I just looked. No, I don't remember.
yeah, and I'm
but-
not asking for it.
Yeah,
but
but they did change directors.
now I will say though, as far as talking about who deserves a number, I'm not so sure that Green may not have either had a number or been in some line for one, saying how that they found him with lungs full of oil and 2 bullet holes in the back of his head.
I don't know. I don't even think he would have been up for a number either.
See, but I don't know because you're about to remember it.
I don't know, man. I don't think we've ever seen a Spectre plan that doesn't at least involve a number. A number has to be somewhere because the numbers are the ones that make the decisions.
Well, but and my thing is about the size of the plan because once again, it would have been too obvious for the oil thing. He was wanting the water so that he could sell it at double the rate back to their own people and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and obviously there's going to be bigger plans from there with that and all. So I just only assume that the punishment for messing up.
Well, you might
Was
be.
that,
You're right, but what I'm getting at though is his plan wasn't just for Bolivia.
No.
He was doing this across the world. So this is a worldwide plan.
Yeah.
So a number was involved somewhere. Whether it was green or not, there was a number involved in the situation.
I mean, I agree with that, but I don't think Green was. I would have never get if I was a Spectre agent. I would have or head of Spectre. I wouldn't give him shit.
Well,
his
and I'm
name.
not saying this isn't a thing in future movies. Have they established that these are Spectre
No.
agents or
No.
this is
planes?
Quantum.
Quantum right now.
Right. Okay.
We're just
making
throwing.
sure I didn't miss something.
You're right. We are throwing around the word Spectre, and that has not been established, and so we shouldn't be doing that.
I don't mind. I'm just making sure I didn't.
So
miss
we
something
should be
on it.
talking about Quantum.
Once again, pre-quantum. Like,
So was Green the head of Quantum?
I'm going to say no. Because somebody called the punishment that he got in the desert.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Green seems like kind of like a useful guy, like a public face sort of guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Like John Cena.
like John Cena, or like the guy from Die Another Day. Yeah, where he's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like, a public face who people think they kind of know him, like an Elon Musk sort of thing.
Yeah.
Someone you can use as a pawn in your scheme.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
maneuver stuff
he was
around.
well connected and everything. It was hard to track him down just because he did travel around so much, and he did purposely stay undetected, and also
He was a rich guy with a good reputation that they could use.
yeah.
What movie is that where the news guy, the guy that wants to control the news,
Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies.
was that him? No, Tomorrow, was that movie?
Mm.
Okay. So I was thinking about this. I think there's a lot of comparisons between this movie and License to Kill. Now, at a point in this movie, MI6 is now out to capture Bond, which we also saw in License to Kill. MI6 is sent to capture Bond. But in this movie, the CIA is also after Bond. That wasn't the case in License to Kill, was it? We've never seen both agencies try and catch Bond before, have we?
No, but remember in this one that the CIA's really after Bond because they're in bed with Green as well.
No, you're right on that. It's for a different reason, but they're also like he's battling both agencies, is what I'm saying,
Yeah,
though.
which I love because once again we get more of Felix and all that.
Which Felix is in a crappy spot in this movie.
Yeah, but the dynamic of him and the other guy remind me of the two
Mm-hmm.
henchmen from Diamond.
Yes.
Like it really
Yes.
did. Like that dynamic just reminded me so much of those two, and I loved every minute of it.
No, the guy is weird. The guy puts
the mustache. Yeah, he's
yeah.
clearly like the guy with
Oh, I
the
think
like.
he's devious. Like, I think it's, and
But he's just as weird as the henchman guy, the guy with the big the glasses and the bald.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about,
Yeah,
Mr. Went.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
he's just
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're just as
Yeah.
devious and all that. Like
Yeah, this guy's a
this
this guy's a different sort. Like
this guy's
what
just
he's
greedy.
saying.
He's just greedy.
The CIA guy.
Yeah, the other guys were just devious because they wanted to kill and thought it was funny.
Maybe it's greed. I don't know.
Oh, it's greed.
I don't know if he's personally prospering over. Maybe he is. I don't
He's
know.
getting a paycheck.
Sure.
That's personally prospering.
I mean, he's getting a picture from the CIA.
Right.
yeah.
I mean-
to deal dirty deeds with known terrorists and criminals.
Sure, but I don't think he's
Yeah,
not
but he would get-
pocketing money off of that.
But he
That's
would,
how
but,
I
but he would get that same paycheck if he was sitting in an office.
Yeah, maybe.
I take him as being like such a company guy. Like the way he presents is kind of almost like threatening, but he tries to like laugh it off at the same time, and just that sort of dynamic.
Well, yeah, be corrupt with me. That's what he even said to Felix and everything. Is like, I need to know you're a team player.
Right.
Because even
Yeah.
Felix was like, why are we doing this? Why are we like talking to these guys and everything? He was bringing morality and ethics into it. It's like, man, just be quiet and take the money and let's do this. Like, just like stop with that nonsense and get on the plane. Like,
Greg,
have a whiskey and shut up.
Greg
Like,
Beam is his name, by the way.
yeah, but I love that.
I thought
dynamic
he's a great
with those two.
character.
Yeah.
No, I liked his
Like I
character.
said, that
and
was one of, all
Fel-
throughout Diamonds. Like,
Felix opposite him was very interesting.
yeah.
Because Felix is not the happy-go-lucky Felix we've seen in other movies. Felix was the quiet, stoic Felix.
he was angry Felix.
Remember how
Yeah.
happy he was in License to Kill, Ray? He had a good day.
Yeah.
No, he's a jerk.
Well, like you remember,
No, you're right. In most, he's a amiable,
Mhm.
you know.
No, my favorite
Buddy.
my favorite Felix is still the one with the grenade launcher.
yeah,
Like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember which
In the
one that-
cave when he's
yeah,
blowing dudes
like,
up,
As
yeah.
soon as he got the green light and the CIA just went America on everybody. Like that's my Felix.
I was when I was talking about happy-go-lucky though. I was talking about which movie is it? Where is it Largo that has the sharks?
yeah.
And like he's flying Bond in the helicopter, and he's just like, like people are dying and everything. He's just making jokes and talking to Bond, old buddy, how you doing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, normally he's
Yeah.
just kind of like
Good
he's my
old-
cool buddy
Yeah.
sort of
Good old
guy.
Yeah.
1960s banner.
Mhm.
Like, just, no, it was cool to see them again and all that though.
So let me ask this. This is another thing I thought about too. We've seen Felix in both Craig movies so far.
Yes.
Did we see Felix in the Bronson movies
No.
at all?
No.
I don't think so.
Not a
Well, I
single
guess
one.
I have it in my notes. I just need to flip back because I keep track of what movies he appears in.
Ooh, detailed.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say I'm pretty sure we didn't see any Felix
No,
during
I
Bronson's
think-
era.
I think one of us would
No.
recall that.
Seen a lot of bullshit. but
Because
we
the
didn't see
biggest
Felix.
thing was we had a change of cue.
no, he didn't appear in any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no Felix in those movies, but then we get him in both these first two.
Yeah. But we don't have a cue. So you
Yeah, we haven't had Q, but we do get a Q later in the Craig movies.
But yeah, so I mean, you can see they're slowly putting together their cast with it and all. Like,
Does I don't want to get involved in it like heavily, but Wade, you're the Craig guy here. Does Dench make it all the way through this? Like, is she M all the way through this?
No.
No. Okay.
She.
Yeah, you don't need to tell us anything. I just couldn't remember if she remained M through the rest of this.
yeah, honestly, I didn't know. Like I said, I haven't even seen the last one, so yeah, so that's one to where
I haven't seen the newest one either.
yeah. So yeah,
So.
I had no idea how long.
Probably
we
have
her
strong
and all.
opinions on it. Sure.
I've heard a lot of complaints about it, but anyway, again, we shouldn't be talking about the future.
Yeah.
But
You know who the best character was in this movie?
who's that?
The dirtbag, dirty general dictator guy,
Really?
rapist. Yeah, yeah. To me, he's the best character. Of course, he's loathable, but as far as just an interesting guy on screen to watch, he was the best character.
His mannerism, like
Yeah.
like it was very typical, like
Dictator.
yeah,
attitude.
that's like even the way like he
Yes.
was, like,
Yeah,
he's just like
well,
he's like baby goat facing everywhere,
Or
like,
even when he got put in his place by Green, then he takes it out on that woman.
Yeah,
Like he just goes in and rapes her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Well, he was clearly going to do that regardless. But,
Yeah.
They cut that move up early on.
yeah. I mean, he's a
he
complete dirtbag. I'm not
Yeah.
Advocating for it, but it's,
well, Barry likes this
Yeah,
guy.
he's my favorite rapist.
Oh my god.
Yeah, even more so than Bill Cosby.
like,
But anyway,
Shots fired. Bang bang.
He's a great character.
I did like his character because, like you said, he was one to where like you. I don't know until you've seen how powerless he is until he signs the contract and all that. You don't really understand what the dynamic is because, like I said, you're just under the assumption like, all right, Green's gonna control some resource here. This guy's gonna control like the country and everything. But why does Green want him in power and what is that? And then when you actually see it, like, oh, and then Green's like, well, you can either play ball or we can just overthrow you just as easily.
Yeah.
Like, and you know. And it probably would be true, yeah. So, and he obviously believed him because he's signed it right away. Like,
Yeah. So I love that guy. I wanted to mention real
I
quick.
love
and then
that
I'll shut up. To watch him on screen, and I like the locations. I like the Port-au-Prince. I would never want to personally visit Port-au-Prince, as it's run by a man named Barbecue.
he was an ex-police officer.
And and wherever they were in Bolivia, looked really great too.
Mhm.
And the locals, I assumed that they were actual locals. I don't know, with the the cool like old 1890s hats and
hats and all
stuff.
that,
And yeah, I just thought everything looked great.
Well, and at the first like 5 minutes in the movie, we go from Italy to London to Haiti.
Yeah, we jump around. We jump around a lot of location wise. Like,
Yeah. I think the Haiti and Bolivia locations were really good calls.
Mm-hmm. I know we kind of touched on it, but I don't think we really fleshed it out. What do you think of the role of the CIA and specifically the role of Felix in this movie?
I mean, well, Felix, I think we're just seeing the morality of it because they're just doing what we all know. Like they are. Like, the American government is just facilitating and overseeing a regime change in a foreign country.
Yes.
Like, that's all it is. And Felix just happens to feel a certain way about it.
Well, it's not just that. I just think they're not only are they doing a regime change, but it's made clear part of the way through that they don't know who they're getting in bed with.
Oh, no, but I'm sure that they don't know who Quantum is either at this point. Like,
Right, yeah.
MI6 doesn't. They just know that, like, especially like I said, like whether it's oil or water, the Americans just don't care.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like that's not what they're after. Like, whatever the Americans are getting out of it, it's different than whatever that goal is. And like you said, they just don't care.
No, you're 100% right on that. But at the same time, I also think they're setting up the Bond-Felix relationship because essentially Felix saves his life at one point.
Well, yeah.
And then, like, now Bond owes him, and now you're, like, and that kind of goes into what we've seen in the past. Like, they kind of help each other until all of a sudden they pretty much form, like, this friendship.
Well, but I think that even started in the first one though, when he needed him. He's like, hey, here, I'll front you. Fuck it. Like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
money and everything. We need to do this. Like, it's the same thing. 'Cause like I said, it's just continuation of
Yeah,
the storyline.
I agree. I agree. It's just like the next step. Like last time, I helped you. I kind of aided you in a mission, but it benefited me just as much. And this time, I actually saved your life, and it didn't really benefit me at all.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
even in the bar and everything, is like,
Yeah.
hey, like here's the information. You got this long. Go.
Yeah.
Like, dip out. Like.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, does anybody else have anything to touch on with that? I know Tom and I kind of dominated that conversation.
I don't.
Another thing that I thought a lot about was just how out of control and just off the reservation Bond is in this movie. And again, we've seen it before, but he doesn't seem to care about anything in this movie. He doesn't care about women dying. He doesn't care about collateral damage. He doesn't care about MI6. He doesn't care about anything until I kind of, after the fact, I think he kind of cared about Field's death. He does seem a little remorseful about that.
You talking about the girl after she...
The redhead, yeah.
Yeah.
He does seem a little remorseful after the fact, but he just abandoned her to get killed so easily without a second thought about it. And, I mean, he doesn't necessarily get Mathis killed, but Mathis wouldn't have been there without Bond, so you can kind of say his death is partially Bond's fault as well. Like, he gets a lot of people killed in this movie unnecessarily.
Yeah, but
Well, I think that's the direction they wanted it to go.
Mhm.
Because that's the whole point of the female in the end of the last movie, is it sends him down a dark path.
It does.
Then we get to see him come out of it and what he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they might have went a little overboard with it. You might be right on that aspect, but I think that was the point of what they're trying to do. That's what they were trying to establish, that he was. I think that's why they were still making the points that Thomas keeps bringing up about how they kept talking about the girl even in the second movie, and because they're trying to really establish that Bond is so hurt by this betrayal and her dying and all this that he's just in pure fuck it mode and just
Yeah, I
going to
agree.
kill.
But let me ask this. Is it all that he loved her and she died and betrayed him? Or is part of it still that he doesn't understand what the fuck happened?
Well, I'm sure you can.
Like, he doesn't have answers.
Yeah, that's part
I'm
of
sure
it.
all of that factors in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, because everybody keeps telling him what they think the answer is.
yeah, but he gets
But-
M helps him get closure in the end.
In the end, yes, but I mean, we're talking about the path getting there.
Yeah, but that,
You
but
know what
that
I'm
is
saying?
the path, like from the start to the end.
Right,
and
that's what I'm
everything,
saying. Like, what is fueling all this rage and carefreeness and nonchalantness about what happens around him? Is it the fact that she died, and maybe all of them? Is it the fact that she betrayed him, or is it the fact that he still doesn't know what happened?
And then you also throw in the
Yes,
other one where
all of
he
it.
was at a means to an
Yeah,
end.
I think it's all of it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Ray. What did you say?
I said you also throw another aspect in where he was at a means to an end, and they totally got blown up.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he made a plan. This is what my life's gonna look like going forward, and now
Yeah.
that's not what it's gonna look like anymore.
And now it's over.
I think the overall problem with the movie as a whole, at least in my opinion, is they were going for a very specific certain direction with this movie and with Daniel Craig as Bond as a whole. And they just I don't really think it's a terrible movie in general. I just think they went too hardcore into the James Bond's a badass. He's gonna do all, and it's the hardcore action movie. I think they just took that a little too far to where they kind of lost the concept of Bond.
I
little
agree.
bit.
I think they should
That's
have
my problem
they
with
should
the
have
movie.
fleshed out a plot more. There should
Does that make sense?
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
could I
Yeah.
see James Bond being charming and cool? Is that too much
Yeah.
to ask? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Like-
but once again, too, like I think if they would have, I will beat a dead horse. If they would have established that 3-month period in part one, then that would have driven home the reason behind the rampage in part two.
I agree with
So
you.
like I said, I think this comes back to they skipped ahead and they didn't even give us like the courtesy of a montage in a spot that would have helped out. The
I wanted to
story.
Or like
Yeah.
you said, just the words at the bottom.
yeah,
of the
I
song.
would.
Yeah.
I need to see an ice pack on the scrotal region for a while.
like, just
Some sort of a therapy going on.
just
her mending him back to health.
Yes.
yeah, just something to show that he actually cared that much. I
Did
guess
you
I
also
could
need to
say.
see like hand movements, stuff going going on under the
Well, I
blanket.
mean, gentle,
If it's
gentle.
all
Like-
medically cleared, yeah.
James, is it working?
But also too, like we got, like you said, about let it go through the arc to what he becomes. Let's not pretend like anything that we've seen up to this point. He gets people killed all the time. It's not
Yeah.
just when he's in rampage mode. Like James Bond has lost friends and like people around him and everything that were just regular workers and civilians. Like
I got a couple of things I want to mention real quick. One is, and I think he takes this on, but I also think it's pressed upon him the idea that he's always responsible when something bad happens to somebody else.
Yeah.
This is the situation, the dynamic that he's in and exposed to. And it is kind of weird that like M certainly blames him almost every time, or somebody seems to mention it, whereas I don't always take it as like it's definitely his fault that happened.
oh yeah,
But
like
that's but that's definitely
well, like
you
the
know
one guy
the thing.
the one guy he threw off a roof and then Green's guy shot him.
Yeah, that was bullshit, Blame.
Yeah,
that was.
there was
but he didn't even try and defend himself. I
No,
found that
that's the
weird.
thing. He didn't defend himself in any of the times. He just sat there and just took it every time he got
Yeah.
chastised.
But I mean, he's there. She's like, "Hey, you killed a guy. You killed another agent. Why did you do that?" He didn't say, "I didn't kill him. The bad guys did," because that would have been the truth.
Right.
Like the truth was the bad guys killed
He
him.
Just
like-
lets go
like-
of him.
Yeah,
And just lets him fall in the car.
but I will say this: I don't think there's any way around the fact that Fields' death is his fault. It just is.
Yeah.
I
Like
can't remember
he
the
he
specific
took her there
dynamics.
knowing that they were going into the lion's den when she's like a secretary, and then she died because she helped him. Like she went up there and helped him get away, and then he just left her there and abandoned her there with Green.
It's
I mean,
it's
like-
no different than the girl that got dipped in gold.
Yeah, but he was just sleeping with her,
Yeah,
and
but that-
and then left the room, and or no, actually he was karate chopped in the back of the neck.
Yeah, so really she was killed for less of a reason. At least this time, like an agent was killed. This was just a poor random girl that got laid.
Well, I mean, she was working for Goldfinger. Bond exposed her.
Either
and-
way and everything, like I
Yeah.
said, people are dying. We can't pick and choose here.
Yeah, but
There's people on the other end of the operation.
I just think it's peculiar how he's to take on all of this death around him when it's unfortunately just part of the job and it's going to happen.
I agree with you, but I
You have
also
a
think
license to kill.
that's a story in a lot of situations. I mean, that's like a superhero story. Like, oh, I saved the world, but some buildings fell down in New York, and everybody hates you now.
But look,
You know what I mean?
But,
Like-
but look at everything that he's dealt with. He is dealing with up until these last two nonsense stories, but like he is dealing with like world issues. So
He
guess
is,
what?
yeah.
I don't care that some woman drowned in some oil and everything. I got somebody who's trying to like manipulate plants and sterilize an entire world like that has a base on the moon. Like shit's bigger than this broad. Like
No, you're right, but the point is,
Like, he is a superhero.
He didn't have to take her. He could have just left her there. Like, he didn't have to be like, hey, put this dress on and go with me to the ball, where I know that people are gonna. I'm going there to kill people. Like, I know bad things are gonna happen. You're just some secretary broad. Like, you're not another. It's not like he got another MI6 agent killed who was trained and ready to deal with that. It's not like he got a bad guy killed. He got a secretary that works for MI6 killed.
oh, then I'll put it on MI6. Why'd you send a secretary
Yeah.
to bring in Bond?
I'm sure there are
True.
varying
Yeah.
levels
If he's,
of blame
he's,
to be
yeah,
laid.
if he's
you
such a
know.
loose cannon and you had all these issues
That's
in
a fair
episode,
point.
and in
That's a fair
episode
point.
1, you're going to send the secretary who's all mousy and quiet after him?
Yeah, you're gonna send the sexy secretary to the guy who
Yeah.
fucked everybody.
Like,
The 48-year-old bald guy. Go get.
No, if anything, I'm sending like two guys that are like 6'7", but like, hey, just grab him. Just grab him. Like, yeah, like, just like.
No, I mean,
like-
you're right on that point. I even when I saw her, she's like, "Hey, I'm here to bring you in," and I was like,
Her
"Why?"
name's Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
She's not,
Right?
you know, bringing anybody in.
It's a more of a British name.
Maybe,
Like,
the thought,
just,
maybe the thought process was to send a woman in to Bond on purpose, thinking that the woman had a chance to manipulate him into coming home, since he constantly.
Well, I would have more understood that side of it more
You
if they'd have
finally
said,
found
"Hey,
your own
we're
agent."
gonna send this good-looking woman in to hold him in the hotel room for a couple hours while we send more agents in to get him."
Maybe
That
was
would have made
their
more
overall
sense.
Objective, maybe. We just
It-
she just told him you got to go home, and
it's
then
no
maybe-
wonder MI6 doesn't know who Quantum is.
I have a bigger picture question, I guess, if you guys don't mind, because, you know, of course, we've seen Casino Royale, and now we're on to Quantum of Solace, and this isn't really anything we've ever dealt with before. There may have been like a callback to a previous movie at times, but do you feel like you want or need a James Bond character arc throughout multiple movies that are linked together?
I don't know that
I don't need that.
I don't know that I need it.
No.
I don't want it either.
But I like. I don't know what. I'm trying to remember what you said about callbacks. I like callbacks.
Yeah, callbacks are different.
I like callbacks. I like pieces where you're like when they mention things from the past. There's been movies since then that they mention Tracy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's a cool callback. I like
Yes.
that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're referencing other movies or whatever the case may be. But no, I don't know that it needs to be a need. Definitely not. But I don't even know that I necessarily want, especially all the time, a huge arc through
No,
26 movies or
like-
whatever.
I think that was the thing that messed up this movie. Like I said, I don't think they tightened up that little bit of the plot line in the first one, and it exposed a whole lot on this. Because, like I said, it was the same. It was the same thing as License to Kill. At least, like you could understand at that point, they just got married, and old boy drove by and gunned him down and everything. Like, so you can understand that. Like, you just killed your wife on the wedding day. And
you're confusing storylines. License to Kill is because they killed Felix's wife.
Okay.
Is it Diamonds where he goes on the rampage after Tracy?
That's in Live and Let Die.
Live and Let
But
Die,
even
yeah.
that's an example of they do it for a moment, but then they don't carry on with it as if it's this sweeping story they're telling.
Yeah, that's true. No,
Yeah,
here's my thing.
The rest of that is pretty much like, "Are you sure you're okay?" Like that's them trying to make a
Yeah.
callback.
I-
But it's a
I
whole
feel
new
like-
storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie had potential.
Yes.
I feel like this movie could have been really good. I'm not bashing I'm not saying this was doomed to fail. They could have made it work. I just don't think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, I can definitely see how if you wrote the main plots on a storyboard and everything, looking at it, like, yes, this looks like a good formula.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's about execution of the small moments that carry over to the next one that you're after,
It was just missing
And-
a lot of little things to help the story come
and
together.
less cutscenes.
But here's the other thing, Barry, that you were getting ready to touch on, I think, is that after we see his short rampage in Live and Let Die, then there's an explanation. We still don't get that in this movie. Like, over the course of the entire movie, you get kind of an explanation. But you don't get that explanation to, okay, now this is exactly what happened. Over the whole movie, you're still guessing of what happened with Vesper. You're like, oh, well, was she bad or was she good or did she betray him or did she not and then you find out halfway through the movie that Mathis was innocent and Mathis is living in a castle somewhere and was essentially as an apology from MI6 for torturing him and when he was innocent the whole time. So in other words, you're looking at Bond got fooled, MI6 got fooled, Mathis was clean the whole time, which means Vesper told what's his name?
Lashif.
Lashif, the tell, not Mathis.
Yeah.
Which
She
brings
was,
a
she
whole
was
di-
put in the position to kind of have to do it, though.
No, it does appear that way, but at the same time,
But you
that
find
goes
out at the end, no.
that goes back to the question I asked in the last episode, which was why did she let him live? If she was giving him up so he would lose, why? And the Lashif's like, I don't know if I can beat him. He's good. I'm gonna kill him instead. Why did she save him? I'm not sure.
I don't have any good answers.
I mean,
Yeah.
the story I think they're trying to tell us in the movie is she was falling in love with him.
Yeah, that's exactly the story. That happened.
Yeah.
Like I said,
100%. That's the storyline that they're trying to feed you.
Wade's like, duh, Alex. That's what they were saying.
but like you said, it just they I don't know, they just don't drive that. They do a terrible job with her character trying to convey that.
The end of Casino Royale is, I mean, I know we've said it 4 or 5 times, but it's that recovery scene just doesn't set the stage. It doesn't set the stage at all for what they
No.
wanted it to become
Yeah, and
and mean for the rest of the franchise almost.
Yeah, like I said, even with all the drama at the end of that, with him like finally kicking open the fucking elevator and shit like that, and all that, it's still like it just still doesn't drive it home. It's not the same.
So, what did you guys think of Mathis's death?
That's what I was just going to mention. I love the way that was handled.
Yeah.
I love it that
I'll say
Bond,
that.
even though I'm sure sure, even if they did reward Mathis with this castle or whatever, I'm sure Bond has lingering, suspicions and things of that nature. But he did show, and I like this. Maybe it sounds silly. He did show his humanity toward
That's it.
Mathis,
He
which
did.
I appreciated.
Mhm.
But then also, I really loved that, once Mathis was gone, he went back to utilitarian Bond and just like, well, what's the best thing? I'll just dump him in this dumpster and move on.
Yeah.
I mean, that
like-
sounds cruel,
Well,
but
like
that's
I
what
said-
he would have to do.
Well, and
You
like
know?
you said, like he would understand. He would,
Yeah.
he would have known because I replaced Mathis with the Russian guy from the older movies. The scene would have fit just the same.
Yeah.
Like it would have been just as easy to where it would have been endearing to where it's like, it's like, hey, we had the moment. All right, my friend is dead. I got to get rid of this shell. Like, put it here. All right, like on to work. Like,
And took his wallet.
Hey, I mean,
like,
But I guess no, I agree. I thought that scene was good because over the course of the movie, you would never think the way Bond was acting that when Mathis said "Stay with me, please," that he would have stayed, but he did because I took it, and you read it differently, Barry. But I took it as he feels bad because he got Mathis tortured for no reason. Because Bond getting duped is what got Mathis tortured. And
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a whole mix of everything, including that. Yeah, but I'm sure he still has lingering doubts about Mathis and all kinds of stuff.
mm-hmm.
but no, I did like that, and I thought that was well done.
By the way, did you?
God,
What did you think of the laissez-faire attitude Mathis's old lady had about him being tortured? She's like, "But you got a house out of it. Who cares?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would not want to hang out with that lady.
he's like, go work on your tan.
When I saw her, I was like, she's like one of those ladies from like the Real Housewives or something like that.
Oh yeah, like totally, yeah. Housewives of New Jersey or some
Yeah.
shit. That's what I thought too. Yeah, with the hair and yeah.
She kind of reminded me of. You guys ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
yep.
Yeah.
The mom. She kind of reminded me of
Oh,
her.
Yeah, Katie Siegel or
Yeah,
Seagal. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Gemma.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gemma. Yeah.
But no, like I said, I don't know. Like out of the two, though, I did enjoy Casino better and all that. But
Yeah.
like I said, we got a majority of just like I said, nonstop action was cool.
The action
Like,
was good.
Like I said, I love that our main villain actually had a decent fight because I feel like we never see that. And
Well, both the big villains had a fight because she fought him and Bond fought
yeah,
Green.
and I love
like-
this the side by side
Mhm.
montage for that. Like now, I will say as far as I was really hoping that dude with the bad bull haircut. I was like, I'm really hoping he's like a cool badass fighter or like
Yeah.
something, and it just gets taken out like holding the gun like this, just explode and everything, and
It was a big letdown because
Yeah, like
he
the-
kind of like sneaks up behind Bond. And you're like, oh, this is gonna be a cool. Like this is gonna be cool, but no.
yeah. So far, the Daniel Craig henchmen are just trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the main villains are way better. Like old boy had such a great time throwing that axe around.
No, Green was good, and I think I can't remember Lashif and Mad Mikkelsen's character was also really good. Like I thought both the villains were really good. Like you said, henchmen are pretty much blah or non-existent, really.
I have a theory as to why that is because they don't want to be seen as goofy or something when they're making the movies. So they're not like, we can't have like an odd job sort of guy or,
Jaws.
knick-knack or whatever, or Jaws, because they think the public will view it as corny or something.
They come back to the big, dominating, big-time character henchman in a couple movies.
Is
You
it?
just gotta wait a little bit.
Did we get one on Skyfall?
It's
No.
after Skyfall.
Okay, after
Yeah.
Skyfall.
They even get a
Okay.
big-time actor to come in and do it.
Well, so far we've gotten trash, Wade.
Yeah,
It's been nothing.
they come back to the big henchman a little later.
I have another theory on why they don't do the henchmen as much, and it sounds like they picked it back up because usually there's something odd about them, like something weird, like some deformity or weirdness about them, and
Totally.
we don't want to
That's
hurt.
why the haircut dude.
We don't want to hurt feelings,
Dude's
you
weird,
know.
like-
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
it's
yeah.
like maybe there's a certain ethnicity, like knick-knack is, I don't know what his ethnicity is necessarily, but he's also a little person, and,
Yeah.
and like Teehee,
I think they're just trying to avoid all that.
they're trying to avoid offending somebody.
Yeah, they're
True.
it's more
probably
new
is
age.
some of that.
It's more new age stuff. Like we've got to follow, DEI and
There's more
safe
guidelines.
space and all this stuff.
Don't wanna be canceled.
That's also why he's not a womanizer.
Yeah.
He has to grow into it. He's still.
I'm
green.
okay personally with a little less of the womanizing. I know that's probably not the largely agreed upon position, but I don't mind less.
Yeah,
of
that's taboo, Barry. We don't talk about
it.
that.
Yeah.
It's okay if you do it in a cheeky way, Barry. That's what we've noticed.
As long as
about
it's
these
cheeky.
movies.
And I mean,
like,
you guys know how I feel about
you can-
Roger Moore,
you-
and he
you can't go
was
straight
no
general.
slouch with the ladies, you
Yeah,
know.
like-
But
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
Roger
mind
Moore.
a little less.
I think
of it.
Roger Moore had 2 movies with 4. Barry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's very charming.
And they probably slapped all 4 of them.
Yeah, him and Connery were not above smacking a bitch. That's
No.
for sure.
As soon as you learn how to make a right martini, like
I said shaking.
Tom had 2 episodes where he was pissed at Roger Moore for smoking a stogie.
yeah.
That's all he talked about for 20 minutes.
It's the props, man. It's props. Like they tried something different.
No, the
Like,
best part was the first time we see him smoking a stogie. He's flying in a
He's a
a
parachuting
glider.
net,
It's a glider.
Oh,
He's on a
yeah.
glider, and he's like just chilling, lighting his cigar. And everything. I was like, that's not how cigars and lighters work.
Yeah, it just,
Like,
Awesome.
Extreme airflow does limit.
yeah, let's say.
yeah,
It's true.
yeah, yeah. It'd be like sticking your head out the window of your car while you're trying to light your stuff. Like, it's not how that works.
No.
But no, like I at least see how they're trying to refine the characters and all that, though. 'Cause like I said,
I think you see, you're seeing parts of Bond. Obviously, this is the main character, but I also feel like you're fleshing out a little bit of Felix's character. You're also seeing these different sides of M. I think all that is a positive as far as like you're fleshing out characters we all already like, but you're fleshing them out in this new version of what we're doing. But we still don't have a Q, which will come. I think that's a big giveaway. And we who am I missing here? I'm missing somebody else.
Moneypenny.
Yeah, we still don't have a Moneypenny, which also will come.
It's the next movie.
I think for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is okay that we don't have all of them at the same time, I guess. I do kind of miss the Q and Moneypenny back and forth with Bond. And I think those are like key parts of the quirkiness of a lot of the Bond movies. But at this point, he's not really like you don't really see him going to the office. He always went to the office in the other movies. He's not really doing that in these movies. Like,
Yeah, those were always scenes that we always. I mean, they weren't all great, of course, but it was always something that we chatted about and largely enjoyed.
yes.
And to just have that gone, you're right, is kind of.
Like he throws his hat on the thing, and he flirts with Moneypenny, and almost kisses her, but
It's
doesn't.
also
And then
all back next movie.
Yeah. Well,
Everything you guys talked about. comes back.
yeah, it comes back either next one or the
Everything.
one before
Okay.
or the one after.
I do have to ask one more question, and it's probably the last thing I'll annoy people with. So, I found this very curious. I didn't understand it. So, when M basically captures Bond, and Bond is taken to the elevator with the other agents, and then beats them up and escapes,
yes.
he then crosses paths with M, and then she's suddenly just cool with him being out and about.
Oh, she said something to the effect that there was a bunch of agents and everything, as if he wasn't gonna make it out of there.
No. She wanted him just to. She was rooting for him at that point to get out of there.
yeah,
He got
she
out
helped
there.
him get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
And
helped
it's-
him.
He went the side.
It's
and went around
illogical.
and-
Unless she decided like that, like
Well, 'cause
I
he-
was wrong, and it must be so important that he's willing to, beat up his own coworkers.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
she had
Or-
to.
Did she
Or-
send him into that situation knowing he'd get out of it?
I don't
That could
know.
also be a
There
play
wouldn't be any
too.
reason to do that.
Okay, so here's what I think. It's because it got the heat off of her. The only reason she was doing what she did is because the
Okay.
prime minister told her to,
And she knew
Oh,
Bond
yeah.
would get out of it.
and Bond got out of it. But now she's like, "Well, I attempted, and he beat up all my agents." So now, but I was never
I'll buy
against
that.
Bond myself. It was the prime minister telling me to bring Bond in.
Okay, I'll totally buy that.
Okay.
That was just straight Captain America Winter Soldier right there.
Yeah,
That's
it
what-
was.
That's what that really just
Yeah.
was. To where like, hey, we were in an elevator. It's like they're all surrounded like
Well, which
headbutt.
Well, did it come before that? This is like
this is
2008.
2008. When did Captain America: Winter Soldier come
So
out?
that means Winter Soldier may have been a
The
bot.
very first Marvel movie come out in 2008, and it wasn't Winter Soldier. It was Iron Man.
Yeah. So it would have been way after.
I think
Oh.
Quantum Solace is probably
Yeah,
a few years
so
before
that
Winter
means
Soldier.
So
that means Captain
2010-ish?
America pulled a Solace. Like,
did.
like that's what happened.
All right,
Like,
yeah.
oh, no one cares about this Bond.
Yeah.
2014 is when Winter Soldier came
Oh
out.
yeah, so yeah, they definitely reached back
They
there.
stole from Solace.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Well, if that was M's play, then that makes sense. So
That's
thank you.
definitely a
I did
Disney
not.
move.
I did not get that, but I totally see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, she got called into the office and got grilled for not bringing him in sooner. So this was her play to essentially fake bring him in.
No, I mean she really brought him in, but she just knew that her other people would suffer because of it.
Yeah.
You know.
James
Yeah.
Bond, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do think she was legitimately pissed that he got Fields killed, though.
Yeah.
I don't think that was fake. I think she
No.
was legitimately pissed at him. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I don't.
Interesting.
She didn't seem to care too much that he beat up those
Yeah,
guys.
it's like she switched real quick.
When you just know your organization is inept, like, you're just like it's fine. He'll get out.
I didn't really pick this up until Tom has mentioned it, but MI6 comes across looking really crappy in these two movies. They really do, and I don't know that I could say that too many other movies in the Bond series. MI6 does look inept.
Yeah.
One more.
And I don't like that. I don't want the organization or the agents to look like fools. I don't want that.
No, yeah,
It is a harder pill to swallow.
I'm with you. Yeah, yeah. I don't like the look either. No. Well, especially after what we've seen, like throughout and everything. I think it's because the bad guys have such cool weapons and everything. I don't want to believe that the good guys are bumbling fools and everything throughout it and all. Like, I want it to be an even, fun game and all that.
Yeah, it almost comes off at this point like Bond is still alive over dumb luck.
Well, I think they're trying to establish Bond as the underdog going against this unstoppable organization.
That's a good point, Wade.
That's what they're trying to build.
That's a good point.
And Bond does stay alive with dumb luck, even all. The
Well, he
other
does
ones.
do it
Like,
with
that's
dumb luck sometimes, but I mean,
it's all dumb luck.
but I mean, even Mr. White talks about it at one point. He's like, "Well, we had you dead to rights," and then he says something happened, and then it was like one of these things of like, but what he said was an accident. It wasn't even like Bond did something cool to like get out of it. It was just like, oh, this accident happened and it saved your life, and you didn't even know it.
There's a lot of
Like,
in all the Daniel Craig movies. There's a lot of mind games that are played with him and the villains, where if you actually sit back and look at some of the situations, a lot of the bad ones are yet to come. But like you look back on it and you're like, oh, they could have killed him in 5 seconds. But they play these little mental games with each other where they keep each other alive on purpose and they try and prove points to each other. And you look back on some of them, it's kind of like,
well, I mean, I mean, that does happen a lot throughout all the Bond movies. But from Russia with Love, the villain, the henchman, for like 3/4 of the movie, his goal is to keep Bond alive, and he saves Bond's life like 4 times because Bond keeps getting himself in positions where he get killed. Like, and the henchman is literally going out of his way to keep Bond alive because Bond is part of their plan. Yeah. So it's not the first time we've seen that aspect, at least.
And to preface that one, this dude was on a roof with like a rifle watching over this gypsy party, and he could have fucking shot the whole party up and killed everybody, but he didn't. He's keeping them alive.
Party too.
He just kept shooting people that ran up behind Bond.
It was a good party. Ended well for Bond.
Yes, it did.
3 kegs.
Yeah, like,
3 kegs and 3 some.
they counted.
And a little bit of...
All right. Well, anything else about Quantum of Solace, gentlemen? I'm out of my notes.
I think we've done a pretty good job.
Anything.
All right. Oh, does Ray have something?
I don't know. I'm looking. Let's see.
Because like I said, I don't know, the movie kind of just petered out.
It did.
Like, I think that's what made it seem like it drawed on to where it was like, where's the wrap up here and all that? Like, how's it going?
There was a
Full
wrap up.
circle.
It was when they went to that stupid dude's apartment, and it was like, "Oh, you got the same kind of necklace my girl got."
Yeah, and then you
and blah
expose,
blah blah,
he's
and it's like
just
it's
basically
over.
doing the reverse honeypot. Like,
Yeah,
That was a
like,
great scene. I thought that was a great way to end the movie.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our movie talk and will lead us into our next segment, which is our rankings. And the body count's a weird one this time, guys. I'm not actually the body count and the Bond girl both are gonna be weird, but we're back to another 1.
We didn't even talk about the Bond girl at all, did we? And that's all right.
Well,
I'm not saying we have
I mean,
to.
I guess
Camille.
technically by our rules, she's not even a Bond girl.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you could actually make the case we don't have a Bond girl for this movie, but we'll get to that in the Bond girl rankings just in a second. But we're at 57 through 23 movies now. The ones are really dragging us down here. But let's move into the Bond girl here. Bond never sleeps with her.
What?
He doesn't sleep with Camille.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is that really a Bond girl if Bond doesn't get with her?
A rare miss.
I mean, I think she's a Bond girl, but I get you.
I don't know. Well, the way I looked at that was there was so much weird overtone with the general and his little, I don't know, his weird grossness and about the whole situation, which I'm glad that he didn't sleep with her because that, I don't know, the whole tone about her was different.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we'll move into our Bond girl ranking here because we are going to add Camille to the list. Barry, where would you like to put Camille on your Bond girl list?
I liked Camille overall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was very capable.
Mm-hmm.
I would put her.
Not here.
I mean, she is middle of the pack. And then maybe if the movie was better, she'd be higher. And this is sincerely not this is not a swipe at Ray. I would really put her around 14. I truly would.
All right. Well, Wade, where would you like to put Camille on our Bond girl list?
The rest of us just do on purely hotness. Is this how this works?
Yeah,
That's how
pretty
I do
much.
it.
I mean, I throw in
Okay.
some goofy explanations, but yeah.
We're just going on hotness here. I'm going 11.
11. All right. I like it. I like it. Ray?
She is very attractive.
She is. I mean, let's be honest. None of these ladies are ugly.
Right, yeah, that's definitely, yeah. I'll throw her at 15. I think that's a safe spot.
15.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw a wrench in it here, guys. I was going to go 8.
Wow.
Okay.
I like Camille.
Yeah.
Tom?
I was kind of hovering around like the 12 to 15 range where Ray was.
Okay.
So, well, would you give us a number real quick?
I'll go 15.
15. So you saying 15. Barry said 14. What'd you say, Wade?
11.
11. I said 8, and Ray, you said
15, I think.
15. So we've got two 15s, a 14, 11, and an 8. So none of us are like super far off.
It would be weird to think that she would be ranked ahead of like Vesper, though, who's such a key character. And it's not like she's ugly. But I'm happy to land wherever you guys want, given I think we're going to all be pretty close.
I just don't care about that.
Well, yeah, I don't find her key to a lot of the story anyway. She's on her own rampage storyline.
Yeah, really.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, he was fighting Green the whole time, so the general would have probably died and burned up in his room anyway. So like he was like, so that guy was gonna die regardless and everything. So like really, her whole revenge plot is just for herself.
I mean, I think you're right, but they do make her a big part of the movie.
They force it upon
No,
you.
they
force
do,
it.
but
Like,
they
it is insisted.
but they do.
Like
She is there a lot.
she is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can't deny that. She's always
She's a-
telling you to get in. Like, like,
She does play a big part of the movie, but she is kind of her own little thing, kind of throughout the movie.
I still don't see the big part of the movie.
So what are we settling on? So do we want to settle on like
Well,
13? I mean, we're settling somewhere
Well-
between 12 and 14, right?
yeah, well, Alex is the farthest away from us.
Yeah, I'm at 8.
So really, it's about what.
I mean, I'm willing to come down. I don't have any. I'm not like, oh my god, she's
yeah,
so
like,
hot,
you're-
I
you're
can't
not-
come
you're not,
down.
like swooning or anything
No,
over here. But I mean,
no,
it's like
no.
you're just the furthest one away. So I guess like why? Like,
He's the wild card that you can kind of.
I mean, it's not like I have like true reasons why. It's not like I'm Barry and I'm like, well, she was a part of the plot or some shit. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like I just thought she was pretty. You know what I mean? Like I'm just looking and I'm like, I think she's prettier than her. I think she's prettier than her. So this is where I fell. You know? And,
Fair enough. I can respect that.
yeah. Like, I mean, I could come down to Wade with no problems.
11.
Wade's at 11.
Okay.
Well, Ray, you and I are sitting at the same spot. So what are you thinking, man?
I mean, in all actuality, I'm not gonna hate too hard. I mean, I could, if you really need, I'll come to 12. I'm not gonna be that asshole this time.
I could trip up to 12.
Okay.
I can.
Everybody fair with that? 12? All right, let's do 12.
Meet at
Okay.
12.
I think that was a pretty.
She's such a key factor in the story that
What is
it's
the key,
perfectly
Barry?
fine.
What is the key?
Aren't you there the entire time?
She was there.
What is she doing?
Aiding him in this revenge
Denise
plot.
Richards was there
Yeah, I
the
was
whole
like,
time
Christmas
too.
No,
was there.
Denise Richards was there only toward the end of the film.
She was still there.
She was in the pipeline.
Yeah, they were in the pig the whole
Yeah,
time.
at least halfway through the movie.
Oh man, this is great. Oh well. Anyway, now that'll move us from the Bond girl rankings to the movie rankings, which we'll see.
Womp womp.
Barry, where do you want to put the movie on our movie rankings?
Don't hate the movie. And frankly, I think if it would have been shot differently, I'd rank it probably higher even. I'm going to put it at 18.
Ooh, 18.
Okay.
Fair enough. Wade, what do you think, buddy?
I'm not 100% sure. I have one quick question. They like everyone in here compared the movie to License to Kill about 4 different times.
Truth.
Do you all clearly like License to Kill more?
I do.
But you all,
I do.
I do personally, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought License to Kill was the better version of this movie.
because all I kept hearing was License to Kill over and over, so I was gonna put it at 11, right behind License to Kill, since they seem to be almost the same movie.
Well, if you put it at 11, then it would bump License to Kill to 12.
Wait,
License to Kill is 11.
I thought it's a 10.
No, that's tomorrow.
No, you're right,
Never die.
Wade. Yeah, I think he's right, Alex.
Well, the lists are different.
Oh,
The list is different. Than
They are
the-
different,
So
actually.
I don't know which one's right.
Okay, I was just gonna put it below License to by 1 spot. But
now.
like,
Okay.
Not Ray's lists.
It is. I mean,
What do we got different, Ray?
I don't know. 4, 5, 6.
Maybe he
two
forgot-
6s. I got 2 6s.
Oh, okay. All right. So the one on the big
Okay.
TV is correct.
okay,
Yeah.
so I put it at 12.
You put it at 12. Okay. Ray, what you got, buddy?
I'll throw it at 16.
16.
16.
All right. I'm going 20.
Okay.
Tom, what do you got, buddy?
I was kind of with Barry at 18.
18. Okay. So we got 2 18s, a 20, a 16, and a 12.
I think so.
So Wade's a little ahead. I'm a little behind, and the other 3 of you are pretty close there. And they're in the middle.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to land somewhere between 15 and 18 when we're
Ray?
said and done.
Ray, you said you're at 16.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at 16.
Okay.
I mean, I'm literally the only one up by 11 and 12, and it's my second episode. So.
Can we settle on 17? I love
I mean-
Octopussy. I think
I mean,
Octopussy
that's
is a very
fine.
good
I'm just
movie.
not trying to. I don't think it's better than, or I don't think it's worse than The World Is Not Enough, because The World
I
Is
don't
Not
think that
Enough
either.
is fucking trash.
What? You said World is Not Enough is trash? Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
That's
Oh,
just
you
straight
don't
garbage.
think it's worse?
And Die Another Day is garbage. So I definitely can't put it below those two.
I'll be honest with you. I don't really understand our hate for the man with the golden gun. Like, we're just pushing the man with the golden gun down into the 20s.
I don't hate the man with the golden gun, but it doesn't excite me either. I don't want to see Octopussy drop any lower. I think it's a real fun movie.
I think the Golden Gun one, I think it was like, I don't know, it just,
I wish I
the
had
way
my
it
notes.
ended was anticlimactic for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was one. Like, I get it's a really iconic scene with the mirrors and the wax figures and all that kind of stuff when they're there and all, but I don't know. To me, it was like I said, he just wanted an assassin buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like, and I think that's where
right. Yeah.
when that was the plot line at the end, it was like, it's kind of
Yeah,
small scale.
You're right.
compared,
It
like-
is totally small scale, but I just it was different. You know what I mean?
oh no,
Yeah.
it was
It wasn't like world domination. It wasn't I'm trying to save the fishes. It was
No.
you know, I
It wasn't
Tame the
Space
fishes.
Hitler.
Yeah, it was like
all right, I can come to 17.
Sweet.
17 sound is everybody cool there?
As long as Octopussy stays at 16,
Oh my gosh. See, and you hate
Tom,
on.
Tom seems to be not
I can't remember why you like Octopussy so much.
I just think it's a fun movie.
Like
Roger Moore's great in it.
Oh my god. Get out of here.
it
Roger
just creeped
fucking
me out when
Moore.
because I guess I don't know if I'd ever caught it as a kid or whatnot, but like, yeah, when your dad gives you that as a nickname, like that's weird.
Yeah, it's a weird nickname.
Like, yeah, wait, he called his daughter Octopussy. He was
Even
he
if
was a
you're-
marine biologist. Like,
Even if you're an octopus and
is
you call
odd.
your daughter that, it's still a little odd.
yeah, it doesn't. It's not something you're not definitely gonna yell that at a PTA meeting. Like, just
Cheering at Little League.
yeah, like, you're not putting that on the back of a jersey. Like, just like.
All right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this Quantum of Solace episode, and we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our Skyfall episode, which I will say I think Skyfall is better than Quantum of Solace.
Well, because what is that? It's like, what is it? Like the third Bond movie is supposed to be everybody's best, or what is that? I know there's like some superstition like that.
Yeah, it's third or fourth, something
Yeah,
like that. Either your
like-
third or fourth movie is supposed to be your best one, something like that. Yeah.
We'll have to look that up for next time to see if it rings true.
But we appreciate you tuning in to Blockbuster Bums.